Release of FM23 is upon us, and there may be some of you out there looking for inspiration, wondering which club to start your career with. Well, in this video, I'm going to look at the top 5 rebuilds for Football Manager 2023. First up is Bulldog in France, playing in the second division, the second tier of French football for the first time since the 1990-91 season. Before last season, they faced administration, or they went into administration due to financial problems and stuff. Their American owners said, we're not putting any more money into the club. But then they were brought out. Things were looking okay. They were predicted to finish mid-table, but it all turned to shit on the pitch. They finished bottom of the lot and were relegated from the top flight of French football. Dropped down into the second tier, only to then be told by the French Football Association that they were being relegated again due to financial irregularities. So they would be playing in the third tier of French football. They won their appeal though, and they play in League 2. So if we have a little look at their history, we can see that Bordeaux are 6 times French champions, with the last title coming in 2009. They are 4 times French Cup winners, with 2013 their most recent success. And they are a decent little team, to be fair. They should, if you take over at Bordeaux, you shouldn't have much trouble getting them back into the top flight. Let's just put it that way. Their side, I'm not sure. I'm using an updated database on FM22, so I'm not sure how updated it is. I'd have to go through player by player, etc., etc. But there are some players that may be familiar to you if you're an English football fan. Josh Meyer, I think that's how you pronounce it, Major, something like that, was at loan on Fulham for the 2020-21 season, was at Sunderland for a few years before that, and he could be the player to lead the line for you. There are a couple of decent youngsters in the Bordeaux side, and the aim with this rebuild would be to get Bordeaux straight back up into the top flight and then push on. Maybe challenge for mid-table, then Europe, then try to usurp PSG and become the dominant force in French football. Next up, we have my favourite team on this list, and probably a rebuild that I'm going to look to do myself at some point during the FM23 cycle, and that is Deportivo La Carina. At the turn of the century, if you know Spanish football and you're old enough to remember, you will know that Deportivo come along and look to overtake Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, etc., and become the dominant force in Spanish football. They won the league in the year 2000. They finished runner-up for the next 2 seasons after that. They won the cup in, I think it was 2002. Yep, there you go, 2002. They reached the semi-finals of the Champions League in the 2003-2004 season, losing out 1-0 on aggregate to Porto. And they looked to be going places. But just 11 years after winning the league, they were relegated from the top flight. And then they spent the next 7 or 8 seasons bouncing about between the top 2 divisions. They become a little bit of a yo-yo team until 2018, when they were relegated to the 3rd tier of Spanish football. And that is where they remain. They remain now. There's been a little bit of a reshuffle in the Spanish football pyramid. So they're in what's known as the Spanish Federation First Division. And I think they need to win that to play a playoff to then go up. So it's going to be a tough rebuild, this one. It's not going to be easy. You're going to be starting from the bottom and having to work your way all the way up to the top. But for anyone who likes the kind of non-league to legend like type saves in English football, Deportivo could be the one. They have a great history. They've got a good squad with a mixture of players. They've only narrowly avoided relegation for the last couple of seasons. And you should be able to get them back up without a problem. You should be able to get them back up without a problem. It's then when you're back in the second tier where the rebuild will truly begin, and you will then need to get them back into the top flight and then back into at least the top 4 of Spanish football. Maybe even winning a cup or 2 and the league along the way. So not an easy rebuild, but one that should be fun and one that I'm quite excited to look at possibly doing myself as well. FC Kaiser Sloughton, the 4-time German champions, have a great foundation for a great team in the making. It should be a very fun rebuild, which has already really been started for you because they were promoted from the 3rd tier of German football back to the Bundesliga 2 last season. They have ambitious owners who are willing to invest to get the club back to where they belong. They've got an almost 50,000 all-seater stadium, and they have a rich history. Their best years came in the 90s, and they've only played in the top flight for 2 seasons since relegation in 2006. But, as I said, they've got a rich history behind them. Their 1998 Bundesliga title came as a newly promoted side. They got promoted in 97 and then won the Bundesliga in 98. So, can you repeat that? Can you get Kaiser Sloughton back to the top flight and win the title in your first season back? If not, it doesn't make you a failure. You can still try and win it anyway. Basically, this one would be get them back to the top flight and try and win the league as quickly as you possibly can, really. So it should be a fun one. They do have a rich history, but it's been a long time since they were on top of the German football pyramid. Can you get them back there? Another tough rebuild, this one, Bursaspor in Turkey. They currently play in the Turkish Football Federation's second league, which is the third tier of Turkish football after being relegated from the second tier last season. They are a one-time Turkish league champion, having won the Super League in 2010, and they became the second team outside Istanbul alongside Trabzonspor to do so. They won the Turkish Cup in the mid-80s, and other than that, they haven't really done a lot. But it's a rebuild because they've played in the Champions League. They've played in European qualifiers as recently as 2015-16, and they are a former league champion. So it fits our list because there is definitely something to rebuild here. As I said, they're currently in the third tier of Turkish football. They have a squad made up completely of Turkish players, and most of them are quite young. So it would be kind of like a youth to gold kind of rebuild, this one. You will be looking to utilise your best players, most of which are young. But Bursaspor could be very interesting. You're going to look to build a young team, try and keep it together, bring in your own style, maybe a couple of your own players, and try to get them back into the top flight. So you've got 2 divisions to climb, and then back into European football. I guess winning the league with Bursaspor would be a bonus, but I feel like the rebuild would be complete if you can get them back into European football. So qualify for the Europa League, or even better, the Champions League. But as I said at the start of this one, it's going to be a tough rebuild, this. A little bit of an out there choice for our 5th and final rebuild for FM23 is Royal Football Club de Liege. RFC Liege in Belgium. They are in the Belgium First Amateur Division as it stands at the minute, which is the 3rd tier of Belgian football. They have a philosophy at the club based on integration of local young players and on popular and faithful fan support. So it could be a very good rebuild to look at the new supporter confidence thing in FM23. So you say rebuild with this one. They have a very rich history, but it was a very, very long time ago. They are now, as I said, in the 3rd tier of Belgian football, which is an amateur division. They are a professional club. They only have a ground with a capacity of 3,000. So again, it's going to be like a non-league to legend, local to legend kind of save, with the rebuild bit thrown in it, because you're trying to take them back to their glory days, which were the 50s, really. Before the they've won the league 5 times, but 1896, 1898, 1899, and then back to back in 1952 and 1953, and they have a Belgian Cup win as recently as 1990. So while it is a rebuild in every sense of the word, because they are a club with a very rich history, and you're going to try to overtake the other team in Liège, Standard. They're fierce rivals, who, if we look at them, they're a 10-time league winner as recently as 2009. So RFC Liège Could be a very fun save. I like the fact that as a Crystal Palace fan, they wear red and blue. So I'm all for it, to be fair. But again, the supporter confidence thing in FM23 that was spoken about on the headline feature release, it could be a good way to test that out, as a philosophy of the club is loyal fan support, and they want to bring young players through. So your squad will probably consist of mostly younger players. Could be a very fun one, and there are a lot of other sort of save ideas that could go into this one rebuild. You've got a possible youth to gold kind of thing. You've got a rebuild. You've got a non-league to legends. You've got a trying to overtake your local rivals. There's a lot of little subplots that could go into this one. So it does make it an extremely fun idea for a save. And there you have it, 5 rebuilds for FM23 that you may not have thought about. Obviously, there are a couple there like Bulldog and Deportivo that are obvious rebuilds for obvious reasons, but other ones like RFC Liege and Bursaspor you may not have thought about doing, and I could have just gone like that and clicked them into your mind and put them on the list of possible rebuilds for you to do during the FM23 cycle. They all come with their own challenges. They're not all going to be easy, but they all could be fun and all could be very, very satisfying if you get the clubs back to where they should be. I haven't gone into intricate detail with each club there. It's just a quick video with a quick look at the 5 teams that I think would make for really good rebuilds in the Football Manager 2023 cycle. Is there anyone else you're looking at doing? Any other rebuilds that you think could be better than the 5 that I've decided on? Let me know down in the comment section. Like the video and subscribe while you're there if you want to. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you all again soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.